Hello, I am currently in the Raw DAO, and we're in Neos, um, and we're going to be looking at lighting today. Above me, we have some uh, items that have been dropped into the world that look absolutely beautiful. Some fabrics, and because of our world the way it is, we have a low-lying sun. Can't quite see it, but it's almost like a sunset. And so it really lights this side of objects in the world very well, but obviously the other side, it casts quite a shadow, and it's hard to see some of the details of this beautiful fabric. So we're going to show you how to make some point lights and things like that. So on desktop, we're just going to be pressing the 6 button to get our light tool that we're going to be using. You can also find this under your inventory, under Essential Tools. It's going to be this one right here, Light Tip. And you can double click that to spawn it in the world if you want. I've already got one, so I'll just delete that. So to create a light, all we're going to do is push the left mouse click button, and that just spawned one for me. Now, I've already enabled scaling, and if yours says scaling disabled, go ahead and enable that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to scale this up a little bit by grabbing it with the right click and holding the shift button and scrolling our mouse forward. That's going to make it larger. To verify that you were actually doing that, rather than if you held it and scrolled back and forth or held control, it would just be pulling it further and closer to you. Instead, we can grab it. If you press F5, it takes you out of first-person view and into third-person view. And here we can scale it and see that it's obviously getting larger and smaller. So we just scaled it up from a little dot so that it's a little bit larger, and that also affects how much light output that it puts. So as you can see, I first put this here and nothing's really happening. So I'm going to use my dev tooltip, which is on desktop, pressing the 2 button for the shortcut, or again going into your inventory with escape. Escape brings up your main menu down here under inventory, up here under essential tools. We're now using the dev tooltip, third from the last, the golden one. Either double click it to spawn it, or just press the 2 button to equip that. I'm going to point at my light and press the R button. And now I'm going to press the middle click to get my context menu and open inspector. So first, I'm a little far down on this hierarchy of this object, so I'm going to go up another, and I'm going to keep going until I get to its root. If you're not sure where the root is, I already know that point light, I'm going to zero out this rotation. I already know that point light is the root of this object because I work with it a lot, but if you're not sure, just keep going until you see the world root. Now you know that you've gotten to the beginning. The only problem is it's kind of hard to sift through all the stuff, so you can just right click on that, pull it out, press the left button, left click, and we've got that point light from its root. The root is already selected. So here we can change a few aspects of our light. For one, we have it's not really casting any light, and that's because our range is set to 0. So we're going to set that to 10, and we can already see it's going pretty far. It's already touching that, it seems. Click it to turn it off, click it to turn it back on. So I'm affecting all the way over there. Maybe I should bring this down a little bit if I don't want that to affect the other fabric over there. We'll bring this down to 5 and see how that's affecting the fabric. Still pretty far. let's bring it down to 2 and see how far we're moving. Not as bad. Let's just go with 1 and see what happens there. Yeah, we're just barely touching that other fabric. So we're going to stick with 1 for now. That's the range. You can also change the intensity, which is right here. So if I change this to, let's say, 5, it gets really right. It's kind of crazy. I'm going to Control Z back to what I have it. I'm fine with the intensity that it's at here. When we scaled it up a little bit, that light intensity grew a little bit. So now we're going to look at shadows, which can also be affected from this menu here. Let me see. Right now we have no shadows. I'm going to click it to soft shadow types and then find a good example of the difference between a soft and hard shadow. And actually, I'm going to show you on this other fabric because I think it's easier to see. I'm going to duplicate this light. What I did was I grabbed the orb, middle clicked, click duplicate, gets you another one. Of course, it duplicates the amount of light, so it gets more intense here until I move it. Alright, let's put this up here and see if we can see any soft. Oops. Go ahead and inspect this. Get to our root. There we are. And our shadows. Okay, I see one that's showing us. We'll keep our menu up here, but not have our menu get in the way. Okay, so I'm going to cycle through the different types of shadows here, but what we're really going to be looking at is this shadow right here. Right now we're on soft shadows, and you can see that there are multiple types of shadows here. You're getting multiple shadows from different raycasts. Basically, it's from you can actually get materials will give off have an emissive quality to it from other lights, just like in reality. We all reflect the light around us, sort of the materials around us. So the shadows reflect this as well. So my shadow and the shadow of this fabric is showing multiple shadows, and that's because there are multiple emissions of light from both the source of the light and from me, this fabric, this menu. They're all emitting, reflecting this light. So the same thing happens with your shadows, and that's a soft shadow. We'll cycle to hard shadow, and now we can see the big difference. That's a solid triangle, a solid shadow. My hand has one solid shadow. And again, we'll switch to soft, and again we see those additional raycast shadows, those emissive properties coming off of the materials from the light. So this is going to affect, obviously everything around you. So right now, we're probably casting some shadows on our other fabric in the distance over here. So let's take a look at our shadows. Pull this over here, and we'll change to none. And we can see it in the distance. We are casting some shadow on that other fabric. So if we just click to none, we're not casting any shadows. But we're also not gaining any additional, shadows help us to see some of the details of these fabrics. So if you want to do that, probably just set your range. Oh, not that, the shadow strength. You can minimize that. That's also another option. So there's a lot of ways of playing with your light, and also you can click it on and off. And probably another very important part would be to use that developer tooltip when you're inspecting this thing. Um, on our point light, let's get back to the root. That's the root. And under the root, you see point light visual. And that is obviously the visualization of this light. And we can click on it's currently active, and we can click on that to make it inactive, and now we don't see the light anymore. I can't manually click it and turn it back on anymore either, but that's probably a good thing. It's probably not something you want everyone doing. And something that we can also do with this light, having it not always on when you're in the world. We'll go over this in another video, but we'll have lights be able to just turn on when you get closer to them, accentuating the item that you're getting closer to. Definitely play with your lights a lot when you're setting them, especially when you're dealing with fabrics. Just depending on where I put this light really starts to accentuate different things in this fabric, including how large I make this light, how close I put it, how far away it is, and really play with that, because you can get some really neat effects from your fabrics and really draw out a lot of really cool effects from just the way that fabric is positioned. I love this model. I love the action that's built into this setup, and I think that lights can really help to accentuate a lot of what's being displayed here. I mean, this is beautiful. These folds and these shadows that are created just from placing the light in just the right place. So that's it for now. Thank you all. Take care.